Get up to
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the last meeting of 2022 and the beginning of hopefully a safe and blessed holiday season. Madam Clerk, could you read the roll, please?
Absolutely. Good evening. Mr. Taylor?
Here.
Ms. Herbert?
Here.
Dr. Bustles?
Here.
Mr. Brennan?
Present.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Present.
Mayor Rickaman?
Here. Will you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, we'll ask Reverend Ed McDowell to give us the Methodist version, not the Baptist version, of the invocation.
Well, let me give you the ecumenical version. Let us bow our heads together. In this season of giving, in this season of sharing, we come to this place to feel and to sense your power. There are so many things in this city of ours and in this nation of ours. Sometimes it seems overwhelming. But in so feeling that sense of overwhelmment, we understand that the newborn child, the advent of him coming into our lives, graciously and spiritually gives us the power to move beyond hopelessness into hope. Bless us as we gather here today. Allow your presence, the joy of the Christmas season, to fall afresh upon us. Bless us, ignite us with new promise, and yet give to us a sense of wonderment as we almost leave this season into the new year. We ask it in your name. Amen.
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 Thank you, Reverend McDowell.
Thank you, sir.
We're at the point of adoption of the agenda. Mr. Duval has some amendments to add to the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I move we adopt the agenda with the exception of deferring item for second reading, item 14, and adding Dr. Prince, Executive Director of Schools for Richland 1, on item 26.
So we have a motion. Is there a
Second.
second? Any discussion, questions, concerns, add-ons? Hearing none, seeing none. Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
At this time, we have public input on agenda items. I have several people signed up. The first speaker will be Stephen Cook.
Mr. Mayor, City Council members, my name's Stephen Cook. I was appointed to the Homeless Task Force by the City Council, and I just want to applaud your actions that you've taken over the last year to address this problem, the immense amount of time and energy that you devoted, but also the significant financial resources you've allocated. But as we move forward with this, these problems are not going to be fixed with the stroke of a pen or the hiring of a few employees, and they certainly aren't going to be fixed Monday to Friday from 9 to 5 from behind a desk. And last week, Starbucks in 5 Points permanently removed all its outside tables and chairs and closed its interior seating in the morning and evening because of the ongoing homeless issues they were facing. A once vibrant and bustling corner in our neighborhood is now dead. A place where hundreds of people a day met, talked, and shared has effectively been killed and turned into a walk-up to-go kiosk because the homeless problem overwhelmed them. And this is how businesses are forced to deal with problems like this when they aren't addressed. They have to close their doors. Small business owners in 5 Points have effectively been deputized as first responders in dealing with the homeless problem. In most cases, it's us that have to deal with the chronically homeless, to triage the needs, what and why is necessary, and call CPD for help. It's a job we didn't ask for and don't want, but in this situation, we've been drafted as the first line of protection for our stores, employees, customers, and communities. And what would you do if somebody came to your home and destroyed your property and your neighbor's property? The police did their job and arrested them, and then 2 weeks later, they were sitting at the end of your driveway. That's the kind of reality small business owners face in 5 Points. The police do their jobs, and the same troubled folks are soon back on the streets repeating the cycle. These aren't single mothers that are laid off and evicted. These are chronically homeless, almost exclusively with severe mental illness and drug addiction. And where does that cycle end? Until we are honest enough to admit that non-traditional methods need to be taken to address the problem, it's not going to get better. Inevitably, it'll get worse. And what about the chronically homeless themselves? It's absolutely not compassionate to continue to enable these folks to live on the streets. When I left work on Sunday night at 11 p.m., I counted at least 3 visibly troubled men just sitting on the street alone and cast aside. It was 35 degrees. How is it okay to leave these folks on the street in this condition? If they are not considered a danger to themselves, then I don't know who could be. With weather dropping below freezing this week, we need to not lack the will or ability to force them off the street. So in closing, some people might say that, hey, this happens in every city. It's the federal government's fault, the state's fault. But I feel confident that each and every one of you elected to city office and every city employee that works so hard every day did not choose the path they took because they were willing to accept that some problems just don't have solutions. I appreciate y'all's time, and thank you very much. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Steve. Miss Diane Wiley.
Good afternoon. How you doing? To Ms. Teresa and her staff, Mayor Rickman, and City Council. I can't do that.
I can't see you
I know
or
it.
hear you.
Can you see me now?
I can see you now.
Okay, I just want to do
I like to see you smile.
Yeah. On item 20, I want to thank everybody for working and helping us get everything done for Belvedere. We really need this. I want to thank everybody here, especially Mr. McDowell, Reverend Mr. McDowell, Councilman, and Leon Howard, because we really need this item for number 20. We really need it. And I want to make sure that y'all know that we need DOT, Richland County, and the city to work together because we got a lot of issues in our neighborhood with the streets. With the ditches, one area is DOT, one city, and one the county. And we need y'all to write these letters so that they can all be city, because when we got annexed in, they didn't do that. The other council didn't do that. So we want to make sure that we get this done because it's a long time we've been waiting. One of our neighbors, right by Miss Jones' house, she died. She didn't get a chance to see what was going on. Only thing she seen was a street to be paved. And it's a lot of people that getting sick because it's a lot of things that's going on out there that we need fixed. We are in the city, and we want everything else what the city got. We want our neighborhood to look beautiful. That's all I want to say. I'm not going to come up here and fuss, but I just want to make sure y'all know what's going on. And you know now I'm not going to forget, and I'm not going to give up. I'll be up here
Well, those are two things we know about you very well, Ms. Wiley.
Yes.
And
yes.
thank you for your
'Cause,
continued support
7
of your
years going on
neighborhood.
8 is a long time. My husband getting tired. But I want to make sure that y'all know that he said, is it worth it? Yes, it's worth it. It's our house. But I want to make sure that I know that Mr. McDowell, you, City Council, and Leon Howard has really worked hard for us. And we thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wiley.
Thank you.
Representative Howard, it's a pleasure to have you here. Congratulations on your new post. We're excited to work with you.
Ways and means. Yes, sir.
Next on the agenda, next up is Robert Duquette. Did I say that correctly? Yeah, sorry, I had a hard time reading you. You write like I do.
wasn't smart enough to go to med school, but.
Me either.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, members of council, I spoke last time about item 15, which is 3800 Overbrook. It's a proposal to put 31 townhouses there. Like I say, I've lived in Overbrook since 1986. Moved there just after law school. Lived there with my wife. Our child grew up there. This project on Overbrook Drive, we've done more than our share for housing, multifamily housing. The problem with this project is it's right at the corner of South Kilbourne, a major intersection, and where Suber has a little turnoff where it meets with Overbrook. And I know we have a couple steps left, but I hope that members of council will do a walkthrough of your own. I go to work every morning at, about 7 a.m. I'm leaving out, and the traffic's absolutely bad now. It's dangerous at that corner of South Kilbourne and Rosewood, and this would put in 31 more townhouses on a major corner there of South Kilbourne, Suber, and Overbrook. And it's going to be dangerous, and it already is. You have little children waiting along that street for buses. Also, we talked last time about the water problems that are there that are existing, and 31 more. Thank you for the one on Kilbourne getting fixed shortly after this last meeting. But right in front of this project at 38 Overbrook are still cones where this water project is still a problem with water that goes down Overbrook. So still a major problem there. There's a church right across, the Baptist church right across from what is now this residential property. And I think in time, very soon, you're going to hear from the minister, who certainly does not want for himself or his congregation a major project there with townhouses. It just does not fit in the nature of the community right there on the corner. So we just want to be here and let you know there's door-to-door being done on this, and it's difficult at times to get people here at 4 o'clock, but there's a lot of concern. We want to have more of our concerned neighbors appear before you and tell you our real concerns about this project. And I just wanted to reiterate those, and I hope you don't get sick of seeing us, but we're very, very concerned about this. And I thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, sir. Miss Whitney Denton.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Thank you again for allowing us to speak. And as he stated, you're probably going to get tired of hearing us. But to reiterate, we do have concerns with our infrastructure. We do have concerns regarding the traffic in the neighborhood. DOT has not agreed to any additional traffic calming measures on South Kilbourne because it is the main thoroughfare, and if they do additional there, it will push it further into the side roads of the neighborhood. I know my concern is the spring when the DOT is actually going to do something with the bridges on 77. When that backs up, they're going to come up and down Beltline. So we have obvious concerns with that. And I want to speak again about the water lines. And I brought this with me today. And here's an orange Tic Tac to show you size. This is a pebble that came out of my cold water supply line in my kitchen. One I couldn't get out myself, and I had to call the plumber once again. My PSI went up at my house to 130 3 weeks ago. I had to go ahead and put another pressure-reducing valve on, even though I haven't put one back on because I burn them out so often because of the debris that comes in my water lines. I am not on any phase of water line replacement, and I have new pipes in my house. So yes, I have a valid concern. I'm tired of picking pebbles out of my kitchen faucet. This is one I couldn't get out, not even with YouTube, but I take my faucet apart
about every 3 weeks to get the dirt and sand out, or otherwise I don't have enough water to wash dishes. Thank you for your time.
Miss Kathy Kittle, did I say that correctly? Thank you. Hey, 1 out of 5's not bad today, right?
Very good. Well, again, the annexation is being brought before you for the benefit of this builder, and really the only reason. And when we had a neighborhood meeting recently, his representative was there and this is a done deal. The wheels have been greased. I guess the handshakes have been made, and it really has concerned us all because we feel we need to bring the red flags. And, it's the city of Columbia and the neighborhood that are going to be left to deal with the consequences that really at this point we can't fully understand, because when asked about a traffic study, an environmental study, because Gills Creek is at the bottom, and a infrastructure study, would that be done? It was stated that they weren't required, and no, they wouldn't be done because they cost money. Well, who's gonna have to pay and come up with the money when we do realize that we have problems and that they need to be fixed? And even environmentally, you figure this property is at the top of the hill. It's almost 2 acres that has been soaking up all the water that's not going down the road. Now it's going to be filled with parking lot, which does not include any visitor parking, and then all the car residual oil and everything else. So all that water and all those chemicals are now going to be going down the street into Gills Creek. But apparently that's not a concern. And, just looking at it, it's obvious that this builder is more interested in extracting all the value that he can out of our community, not adding to it. And from listening to you all, last week, it sounds like all the money that you're talking about investing into the community is to bring value. And this will not. So really, what can we do? I think by drastically reducing the density that they're talking about at that corner is, at minimal what we can do. I know this is annexation. It doesn't have anything to do with the next steps, but maybe alerting the people that come forward, those studies need to be done. Thank you.
Thank you for
Happy
being
holidays.
here, Ms. Kittle. That is the final person who signed up for. Or is this for an agenda item? Please come forward.
How are y'all doing tonight?
Hey.
Sorry I'm late. I got here as soon as I could.
No worries.
My name is JT Thayer, and I live at 3845 Overbrook. I am a first-time homeowner. This is the first time I've been able to purchase a place. I lived in Massachusetts prior to here, and one of the reasons I moved to South Carolina is so that I could own a home and build a community here. And I'm very concerned for a lot of the reasons that these folks here have been talking about. I don't know if you all have any of you seen the intersection in person or driven down it? So you've noticed that the quality of the roads in that area are pretty dire. If you drive down Overbrook, you'll literally hit a huge bump and then kind of coast down into a lower area. And I've been told that was a sinkhole in 2015 when we got all the flooding, and that was before I lived there. But if you just think about the increased traffic, there's already, I think, 150 people, that's a conservative estimate, living in about a 2-block area on Overbrook. And if we are looking at 31 units, conservatively, let's say that's 60 people. And so that's a huge increase in an already very densely populated area. And just about a couple of months ago, they started doing some construction on Kilbourne, and it was about, just a small section of road that needed to be refinished. And just that area being redone rerouted the whole traffic for the whole neighborhood because Kilbourne runs into it. And there was like mini traffic jams at all hours of the day just trying to like get out of that area. It's a very weird intersection. There's the way that Suber Street kind of runs up with Kilbourne there. And as I try to make a right from Overbrook onto Kilbourne every day, it's even without construction there, the visibility in making that turn is really dangerous. You can barely see if cars are coming down Suber. And so if you have a huge construction there, like just the incident of traffic jams, I'm really concerned about pedestrians as well. I'm a disabled person. I recently, just in the last couple of months, have been healthy enough to start walking my dogs again for the first time since before the pandemic. And that's something that brings me a lot of joy. And I don't know, with all the increased congestion, if it's even going to be safe to walk on these streets with more traffic, with, there's going to be more dumpsters or rolly carts and like really just havoc in that area. I don't know how else to express our concerns, but it's, I speak for almost everyone in my apartment, the condo complex as well. So there's a lot of people, and we will keep showing up because this is our home. So thank you for listening.
Thank you. Is there anybody else on this issue? Just want to make sure we had an opportunity to hear. Hearing none and seeing none, we'll move. Madam City Manager.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor Rickaman. At this time, we would ask council to consider the consent agenda items 1 through 13 and numbers 15 and 16.
Is there a motion?
I move approval.
Is there a second? Any discussions, questions, concerns? Hearing none, seeing none, Madam Clerk, could you read the roll, please?
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Ms. Herbert? Aye. Dr. Bustles? Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Consideration of bids and agreements, item 17. Council is asked to approve the fiscal year 2022-2023 contract renewal for services related to the retention of military personnel services and operations located at Fort Jackson during the upcoming rounds of the base realignment and closure (BRAC) and sequestration as requested by the Economic Development Department. Award to the Greater Columbia Chamber of Commerce in the amount of $53,500, which does not include an increase.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any comments, questions? Hearing none, seeing none, Madam Clerk?
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Ms. Herbert? Aye. Dr. Bustles? Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Item 18, council is asked to approve the fiscal year 2022-2023 contract renewal for professional services for improvement and operational services within the Downtown Business Improvement District as requested by the Economic Development Department. Award to the City Center Partnership in the amount of $70,000.
So move.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
I'd like to propose an amendment to move the funding source to H-tax funds, given the role of the Downtown Business Improvement District, as well as other funds that the City Center Partnership receives from us.
I'd like to table that motion. I'm opposed to taking it out of H-tax.
I think we should clarify, Mr. Mayor, that it was proposed to come from the ED special contracts, which is where?
General Fund.
General Fund. So we're asking all the citizens of Columbia to participate in this when technically, I think a more appropriate place, I have to agree, would be from H-Tax and let funds that are generated from that area be spent in that area on this.
Well, they've already had a bite at the H-Tax. I think it's $125,000 that they're missing. Can you tell us how much they've gotten out of H-Tax?
Let me clarify, I don't want to speak for Dr. Bustles, but I don't think we're talking about cutting anybody's money. We're just talking about changing the payment source from general fund revenue to H-Tax.
I don't want to take it out of H-Tax. I think the H-Tax needs to be used for other purposes than double dipping by the City Center Partnership.
And I do have a question regarding the balance, because I know we have some other issues with some other recommendations coming from hospitality. So I just want to make sure we're all clear on what the numbers are that we're dealing with.
I support the H-Tax, by the way. I just want to make that clear because I do think that's the appropriate source for what they're doing.
In the past, this has not come out of general fund, it's come out of the water sewer fund. Under economic, Ryan, is that not true?
A long time ago.
Not most recent. You're saying in past years, has it ever come out of water and sewer?
Yeah, where did it come out of last year?
General fund.
General fund?
Yes, sir.
City Center Partnership gets $300,000 from H-Tax currently.
300,000.
Did you table this?
I moved to
Did you
table.
move the table?
Yes.
He didn't get a second, though. There's no second on the table, correct?
For what?
Yeah?
There was no second to the tabling.
No, it wasn't.
So I second Dr. Bustle's motion. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor, would this not put, so there's a second round of H-Tax requests coming through?
That money was separate.
That was separate, so this
Now,
is not.
you remember, they took them, we gave them more money this year. They took that and segregated out some for a second round.
For
This
other,
has
for
no
other
effect
groups.
on that.
Okay, is the balance there to support the 70,000?
Yeah,
Yes.
Correct.
Missy, did I understand you to say that the balance in the H-taxes and to separate and to pool monies from that, what's the balance?
There's 800,000 fund balance, about 790.
Fundings are there. It's appropriate source. We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Mr. Taylor?
Would you confirm the motion that we're voting on?
The motion is to approve the contract or the funding for the City Center Partnership as amended for the funding to come from the Hospitality Tax Fund?
The vote's on the amendment? The vote's on the amendment?
Yes.
Correct.
I didn't hear what you said, Mr.
So a yes vote means it comes from H-Tax.
Yes.
Aye.
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles? Mr. Brennan? Yes. Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
No.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Now we're voting on the amended motion.
No.
Well, it amended.
No.
You tabled it.
No, I didn't get the motion. The motion didn't carry.
The motion didn't carry, so it reverted back to the main motion.
It wasn't a second.
You didn't get a
It
second.
never got seconded.
The main amendment, we
The
can.
main,
Yeah, but her motion is the main motion, and we amended, and we did not amend.
no, you did not amend it.
There was a motion made by
tabled.
Mr. McDowell, seconded by Mr. Brennan to approve the contract as is. Dr. Bustles amended it so that the funding would come from H-Tax. You made a motion, but it was not seconded to table Dr. Bustles' amended motion.
Okay. Congratulations.
It's not a contest.
Item 19, Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Item 19, council is asked to approve the fiscal year 2022-2023 contract renewal for assistance with recruitment, project management, promotions, marketing, and research as requested by the Economic Development Department. Award to the Central SC Alliance in the amount of $72,000, which does not include an increase.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I do think as we go through the budget process next year, it's important for us to engage with this group. I know them personally, I've worked with them before, but we need to make sure that urban economic development and urban recruiting is included in their mission. I know in the past it hasn't been a priority for them, really showed no interest whatsoever. I do think it's important that we play some role because people in Columbia will work at manufacturing jobs and things like that around, but we need, again, when it comes to looking at lead lists, who we might recruit, what capital developers we might call on, I mean, they've got to join together with us on that, or we need to reevaluate the situation next year.
And my understanding, this did go through the Economic Development Committee. I'm not going to support it. I didn't think it was something that I talked about early on in advance of the budget that I think we needed to take some time off and figure out what really worked for the city, because it really is focused on more of manufacturing and counties than it is the city. I would support a much lesser amount, but I'm not going to support this at this time.
Make a motion to amend at a lesser amount?
I mean, I think to equal what some other community partners are doing, they're $25,000. I'd amend the motion to approve it at $25,000.
I think to Councilman Taylor, at your point too, Mayor, is what is their role? I mean, here we are trying to paint the picture of who we are, telling our story, especially in the economic development, local job growth. I don't think tagging a lower number gets to that. So if it's a function of tabling and working with our Economic Development Department to find out what that scope is and how they fit in and then come into a number, I suggest that would probably be a better path forward.
So I will remove my motion.
I'll move to table it.
Second.
Let me finish.
Move to defer.
Move to table it and defer it to committee.
We got we have a motion, we have a second.
There's a second?
Yes.
Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Ms. Herbert? Aye. Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Item 20, council is asked to approve a new contract for program management and construction services for the Belvedere Home Assistance Program, HAP. Award to the SEBA Group, LLC, in the amount of $450,000 for program management services and $2,550,000 for rehabilitation activities for a total contract
So
amount.
move.
A motion, is there a second?
Second.
Representative Howard, I want to thank you for procuring the money and helping us improve all parts of our community. Thank you very much, and thank you for being here this evening. Is there any discussion? Questions? Mr. Duval?
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to vote in favor of this because I think it will certainly help the Belvedere community. I do have some concerns about it, but my concerns were assuaged by the contract that the staff has come up with for implementing this program. This is not going to be a City of Columbia program. This will be a special program with the funds that Representative Howard has brought forward to help the Belvedere community. One of my concerns is that they're putting a cap of $40,000 on a restoration, and I'm worried that when the cost of that restoration gets to be $50,000, they're going to blame the City of Columbia for not finishing the project. So I want the public to understand that this is not a City of Columbia program. Representative Howard has used the city to get this money to a contractor, and I applaud him for helping that community. But this is not going to be a community development program from the City of Columbia.
Any other discussion?
I am happy to support this project, and I think it's really wonderful for the Belvedere community. One thing I'd like the staff to consider as we finalize our contract, and given some of the insurance requirements that are included, is that at no one time should the current construction exceed 70% of what the contractor is insured for. I think that'll address some of Councilman Duval's concerns and will set up this project for success.
Any other comments, concerns?
Move the previous question.
Madam Clerk?
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Ms. Herbert? Aye. Dr. Bustles? Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you all, and we will factor in Dr. Bustle's recommendation.
Mr. Mayor, may I have just a moment of personal privilege?
You may, sir.
Thank you, sir. Item number 20 represents a renaissance for the Belvedere community. A year ago, Representative Leon Howard and I talked about this project, and it was because of his energy and his resourcefulness to secure these funds. Belvedere is going to be a new and different community. With the help of our president over there, Ms. Wiley. Where is Ms. Wiley? Okay, Ms. Wiley.
She's undercover.
Thank you so much for your energy and what you do for the Belvedere community.
Amen to that.
Thank you, Leon. You've allowed us to shift gears and to move us into a newer direction, and for that, we are grateful. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Reverend McDowell. Madam City Manager?
Yes, sir. Item 21.
Mr. City Manager, I would ask that we defer that. I apologize for missing it at the beginning. There's some additional information we were requesting, and I would like to have that brought up in January if possible. So I would make a motion that we defer it.
Is there a second? There's a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I just have a question. Is it time sensitive, or is this going to impact, is a deferral going to impact anything?
We have been experiencing some leaks. I'll let Mr. Shealy speak to that. If we could get it in January resolved, I think we will have the questions answered by then.
We do have a bid, but we do have the time to extend that bid and be able to address that and answer your questions, Councilman, in January. So I think we'll be okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shealy. Madam Clerk?
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan? Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Item 22, council is asked to approve a new contract for project SS7564, the West Columbia Pump Station improvements as requested by Columbia Water on September 27, 2022. The award to MB Construction Company, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $4,319,513, which includes contingency. This contractor is located in Columbia, South Carolina. The funding sources is listed. The original budget amount is noted. MB being the prime contractor
approved.
providing.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Discussion?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Mayor, I would ask that Mr. Shealy come up and just, I think this is a good example of cooperation and explain what this, while this is a larger contract, what the city's portion of and what West Columbia's portion of. So technically, we would be approving a contract for the full amount with the city's portion, a smaller amount.
Yes, sir, that's exactly right. Through our sanitary sewer arrangement with West Columbia and our contractual arrangement with them, we contract for the improvements to the assets, and then at the ending of the project, they reimburse us. So out of the $4.4 $3 million and change of investment that's made. West Columbia will then reimburse about 44% or almost $1.9 million of that investment. Other assets or and investments that are made down the road at the plant or wherever it might be in the collection system, their portion of contribution is based on a flow proportionate share of responsibility. So,
Well, I applaud you for working through this and coming with a joint deal. That's the kind of cooperation that really helps the whole Millings grow together. Thank you, sir.
thank you.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, Madam Clerk, could you read the roll, please?
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Ms. Herbert? Aye. Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell? Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Item 22, ordinances first reading, I'm sorry, item 23. My apologies. Ordinance number 2022-123, granting an encroachment to Fort Jackson SAP LLC for the use of the right-of-way area of the 4300 block of Fort Jackson Boulevard for the installation and maintenance of one curb cut, sidewalks, landscaping, and irrigation.
Motion to approve.
Do we have a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any further questions, clarifications? Hearing none, seeing none, Madam Clerk, could you read the roll, please?
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Ms. Herbert? Aye. Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Item 24, ordinance number 2022-128, consenting to the inclusion of property in a multi-county industrial business park, 2222 Main LLC.
And I would note that comes with a recommendation for approval from the
So we have a motion?
Second.
Got a second. Any discussion, questions, clarifications? Hearing none, seeing none, Madam Clerk, could you read the roll on item 24, please?
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Ms. Herbert? Aye. Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Item 25 is an annexation, interim future land use map amendment, and interim zoning map amendment case summary for 1008 South Ott Road in Council District 3.
Mr. Brennan?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, Madam Clerk, could you read the roll, please?
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Ms. Herbert? Aye. Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Moving into a period of resolutions, item 26 is resolution number R 2022-102, authorizing the award of a grant in the amount of up to $80,000 to Richland County School District 1 for the Jobs for America's Graduates JAG-SC program, and authorizing the city manager to execute a service contract agreement implementing that grant. I did insert the up to amount, being that we're at this point in the school year and fiscal year, and I'm sure Dr. Meandre Prince, the Executive Director of Schools for Richland School District 1, who's here, can help answer any questions you may have.
Dr. Prince, thank you for being here this evening. We're very excited about this opportunity to partner with Richland One and expand what we all think is an incredible program, and the opportunity afforded us thanks to the technical schools, the governor, and our partnership in this. I know there were some questions about timing, and I know we're trying to push to get this part started as quickly, but I'll open up the floor to council members. Did you have a question, Ms. Herbert?
Yeah, I really just had a question about timelines and the ability to get all of the other ones open by January or February, or what is your timeline? What do you think you can do?
Right now, we have already posted the positions. So schools were given the agreements last week. We've signed those, and so right now they're on our website. And so we're hoping to start that process as early as when we get back in January.
Okay. And I guess it'll just be based on responses.
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
First off, let me just say thank you on behalf of the at-risk kids in our public schools here in the city. And I want to commend the mayor and Chairman Bishop, the Governor and Dr. Tim Hardy for coming together. And I would ask is that, explain just quickly, this will put a Jobs for American Graduate program in every high school in Richland District 1.
Yes, sir. It
It'll
will.
let us address approximately 600 or so of the most at-risk young people that we have when they're going into the 9th grade, and stay with them through graduation. And I believe you already have a program that's run for some 10 to 13, 14 years at C.A. Johnson.
We do, and the other part of that, Councilman Taylor, is that the JAG specialist who's in or at C.A. Johnson also does a one-year follow-up with those students once they leave us.
That's fantastic. And and share with the public, the graduation rate at C.A. Johnson on these young people has been in excess of 94%.
Right, it has always exceeded the JAG requirements, so
Fantastic.
it's very high, yes.
Well, I
for those
thank you
students.
for doing this. I think it's a wonderful partnership. And either you or the mayor, if you would just explain to the public why it's only costing the city $80,000, I think that's important, because it's a program
will.
far beyond that cost.
And I'll do that. I think Mr. McDowell had a comment, and then I'll wrap it up.
Let me ask this question. Marvelous program, very enriching and very empowering. What does the data look like after the 3 years in terms of what happens to that student?
All of those students, and we just did a presentation at a board meeting, I'm thinking about maybe 2 board meetings ago, where we had the instructor from C.A. Johnson. So since I've been in the district now, those students have done extremely well. Some have actually started their own businesses. Some are in college right now. Some have already finished college.
And I want to add to that, because it's important, because of what we learned as we continue to have gone in that program, is that they're getting a credit towards college. They're up for free tuition in our technical colleges to pursue that route if they don't want to go. But like you said, we also follow up with an entire year to help place those and get those kids career ready, that probably, had they not been in that JAG program, which over a 13-year period, this JAG program at C.A. Johnson has a 92% success rate. It's one of the best programs in the country, and the network that the JAG program brings to help kids find jobs and get them connected with businesses, it's unmatched. And I just have to thank the governor, president of the Technical Schools Associations, for putting this all together, because they're funding 3/4 of this cost, and the city and Richland One are splitting the last 25%. It's a true partnership. We're going to have up to 9 schools, I believe, in this program, and there's only 25 of these schools in our state. So we are making a major move to provide our future, our kids a future that may not have had it if we weren't there. And this JAG program, folks are working with these students on a day-to-day. Look, kids who don't come to school, they go to the kids where they are at home and make sure that they're there participating, but listening and learning. And I think the real part that I think was really good for Ms. Lois to talk about today, too, was the fact that they're digging into the root problems and getting with the kids and really finding out what's kept them from exceeding and solving that problem and creating that mentorship that lasts, like you said, from a 3 to 4 year period.
And this expansion is certainly going to be a welcome addition to our other high schools, because now we can grow and look at other students who may not have gotten the deeper attention that we want to provide for them.
And this is why it's so great. We're seizing an opportunity to make a difference and leveraging true partnerships. And I'm really excited about what this is going to do. I know council is, and I know our community is. With that, we'll call.
I would just add, that Dr. Prince, we appreciate and hope that this is the start of a longstanding relationship on initiatives that help children in our community. Just if you could just keep us posted on any unexpected challenges or ways in which we can continue to support as we hire up some of these specialists for the schools, that will be really helpful.
We will.
Thank you.
A minimal investment for real future success of our students. Yeah. It maximizes what happens to that student as he or she matriculates. A minimum, I mean, gee whiz, $80,000. We're talking about the investment in the lives of kids. And I think it's well worth the spent dollars. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk?
So moved. I don't think we had a motion yet.
Second.
So moved.
Mr. Taylor?
Thank you for coming, sir, and aye.
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mayor Rickaman?
Gladly.
Thank you.
Moving into a period of other matters, item 27 is the City Council Standing Committee structure. The Honorable Daniel J. Rickaman, Mayor.
As we've been working very hard to continue to keep committees working and helping us progress things forward, we did make a few changes, and we added a new committee, Health, Social, and Environmental Affairs, focused on homelessness, community partnerships, beautification, environment, but also in a health as we work forward with Richland Memorial and others on a plan for a blue zone, which does an assessment of our overall community health and how we can make trajectory goals, partnerships to improve the quality of health. We have taken economic development, added infrastructure committee to it, since there were very few meetings there, and split community development out so that we could have a true focus. There's a lot of potential for us to leverage the dollars that we have to make better improvements in our communities, in our neighborhoods, and very excited that Ms. Herbert will be the chair of that. Dr. Bustles will be chairing our health, social, and environmental, and then our other standing committees will stay the same. We did take arts and historic preservation and added philanthropy, because there is a growing trend of folks wanting to donate land and other things to the city, and we want to give them an opportunity to do that so that we can use that to create housing opportunities as well, or green space, public art, and others. With that, I don't think we have to have an emotion for this.
It would be good if
Would you like a
vote.
motion?
Yes, sir.
I make a motion for adoption of the structure. Do I have a second?
Second. Mr. Mayor, and I would ask that you submit the memorandum on it to be recorded in the minutes.
Absolutely. I have it right here for you, Madam Clerk. With that, Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan? Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 28, council is asked to approve the installation of a three-way stop control at Forest Ridge.
Second.
Any discussion? I will tell you that in years past, that has tried to happen, and we were denied, and so I know that there'll be some neighbors that'll be real happy that this finally got DOT approval. Thank you, Mr. Anderson. With that, Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
City Council referrals, reports, and new business. Mayor Rickaman, I know that there are several, actually, so I can help take you all through these. I know Mr. Taylor may have one regarding 1225 Laurel Street. Do you wanna
Yes,
make
ma'am.
that
I
one?
would refer that to the Economic Development Committee.
Okay.
And I would also like to refer reinstituting community service as a penalty option for our judges to be considered by the
Public Safety?
Public Safety Committee in January.
Did you get the second one, Madam City Manager?
I was just going one by one. Yes, sir. The next one is the referral of the Assembly Street Phase 2 project to the Economic Development and Infrastructure Committee. And this is actually requested by the staff and I, Mr. Clint Shealy, Assistant City Manager for Columbia Water on that one.
And then there was one more.
And there's the referral of an update on city works to the Administrative Policy Committee as requested by the Honorable Oddity Bustles.
Is there any other referrals?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Duval, then Mr. Brennan.
I've got a report, not a report.
Okay, any referral?
Yes, I'd like to refer to the newly formed Health, Social, Environmental Affairs, a look into current senior health and wellness programs and opportunities for community partnerships.
All right. Ms. Herbert, did you have a referral? All right, those are all
there-
referrals. I'd like to go ahead and
I'd like,
got one.
yeah, I'd like to make a referral for the Health, Social, and Environmental Affairs Committee to take a look at funding sources to support homelessness prevention, including the opioid settlement funds.
All right, any others?
I would like on the record, Mayor, if possible, the parking study to go to the Economic Development Committee.
We'll add that one. Parking
And the
study.
fire pay plan to the Public Safety Committee.
Take those two and add those to the 6, 7 that we have referred.
What was that last one? I'm sorry.
Public safety,
Public
fire to the Public Safety Committee.
One
Madam
more,
Clerk,
sorry.
you got all those?
I'd like to refer the draft feeding ordinance to the Health, Social, and Environmental Affairs Committee that came out of the Task Force to Prevent and End Homelessness.
Okay. Any others while we're
Loading up the work.
loading up the first January meeting? Seeing none, hearing none, Madam Clerk, let's get that on the record.
Have them all. Would you like to make one motion, or?
I don't think you need a motion.
I have them all.
She's got them.
You got them?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And Ms. Hurt, how, Mr.
I got a
Ball, you
report.
had a report.
Mr. Mayor, I want to report out of the Special Committee on Short-Term Rentals, the ordinance that we've been working on for over a year. We have had 2 public hearings and 2 meetings of the council. We have narrowed the wide chasm that was there a year ago between the STR industry and the neighborhoods, so it's now ready for the council to look at it. And I've asked that the city manager schedule a work session for the full council so that we can get you briefed on where this ordinance is. We have some perfecting ordinances that came out of our last meeting, and we will look at the council to see if the council has any further ordinances, amendments they'd like to make to the ordinance, and then it'll be ready to come to council for an agenda item.
Can you send us an updated draft with all the information so that council can review it prior to?
Yeah, you've got the last draft. I sent you the last draft, 12/7/2022.
Yeah, but you just said you had some add-ons.
Oh, we have not done them yet, though.
Oh, okay.
We have not added anything to it.
Okay.
We'll bring that to the work session.
So
Okay.
the 12/7/22 document,
Is the
I've
latest
got that.
version. That's the version that the industry and the neighborhoods are fairly close on. And I think we can listen to the council's concern and make one amendment that will take place when we bring it to an agenda item.
so the document is there.
The
And we're
document
wait-
is-
And we're waiting for the other piece.
We will do the other piece when we bring it to the council.
All right.
That will be the first work session, or is the second?
First work session.
I'm just kidding, we don't have a second work session.
You got some priorities.
You're going to have all, just want to make clear, I think that first work session is January the 10th. That's 2 weeks from now. You're going to have all these other amendments and everything,
Oh, yeah.
where we can look at them ahead of
Yeah.
January the 10th?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I believe that you had said that we would probably try and vote on it sometime in February, right? So we have a little bit of flexibility between I just want to be conscious of the gazillion things that we're trying to get done.
I want to get it done sooner rather than later.
Okay.
Been working for this over a year, but if we have to move it to the next work session, that's fine with me.
We'll coordinate with
think
Ms. Hammond. She is a good, when she leaves the city, she's going to work at the airport as an air traffic controller. Because she's about the only person that can take 7 planes and get them in the right direction.
I just wanted to add that James in the legal department is making those revisions. So
Yeah.
that's why we think we should be able to get it to you in enough time.
James Knox has been a great attorney for us on this, and he's grown known by the SDR industry and by the neighborhoods, and they both feel like they can give him good input.
Until we pass it. Any other referrals, reports, new business? Sounds like we've covered the gamut for December 20th, 2022. With that, we have a spot for public input now, if anybody has anything that hasn't been previously covered or said at this point. I think the sign-up sheet is from the folks who were there earlier. Yes, we already, this was the person who spoke earlier. Thank you. With that, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
No. Mr. Mayor, I make a motion we go into executive session for receipt of legal advice relating to pending, threatened, or potential claim pursuant to SC Code 30-4-782, Marion Adams versus the city. Receipt of legal advice related to matters covered by attorney-client privilege pursuant to SC Code 30-4-782, homeless services. Discussion of the employment of an employee pursuant to SC Code 30-4-70A1, Communication Plan, Community Development Department.
Is there a second? Any discussions, questions, concerns? Hearing none, seeing none. Madam Clerk, could you read the roll, please?
Mr. Taylor? Ms. Herbert? Aye. Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Y'all have a Merry Christmas.
Y'all have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Stay up here so we can eat.